welcome everyone. So, the agenda of today's discussion is reinventing QA with real world AI. Let me quickly start with an housekeeping items. This is a 45-minute session, and the session is being recorded. All participants will be muted, and only me and Anshu will be talking. But feel free to add your questions in the chat, and we'll take up at the end of the session. And the recording and the deck we'll be using will be shared with you after this session. Okay, so I am Sai Unmesh. You can call me Unmesh, and I am lead in product growth team here at BrowserStack. I mainly deal with the test platform and then the AI agent offerings, the positioning around it. And we also have Anshu with us. She's the group product manager, and she also leads the market and product strategy team here at BrowserStack. So let us quickly walk through the agenda. Uh, Done with the introductions, we will dive deep into how we can use AI in testing to increase efficiency of QA teams. And also, we will have a brief discussion of how to test applications that are built on top of LLMs. Nowadays, a lot of applications have AI features embedded in them, and testing them also is critical going forward. And then we can have a Q&A session. So, yep, hi Anshu. So we know that you and your team are doing a lot of research regarding AI in testing, and you are very close to the recent developments. Look, can you share like what is happening in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey everyone, good afternoon to you. AI as a topic has obviously been of a lot of interest to us in trying to understand what are the general macro trends with respect to AI, right? Not specific to testing. I think first we want to understand what are different industries doing with AI, what are different fields, like let's say customer support, marketing, sales, what are all the different channels doing with AI, and really try to understand where is AI in the adoption or the maturity curve, really, right? And through a lot of analysis that we've done with various industries, what we've realized is AI is still in a very assistive mode today, right? The typical sort of curve that AI applications take, or any market takes, right? At least in the case of AI and generative AI, it typically spans across three phases. One is where it will augment your efficiency with smaller tasks. Then it will assist, where it will start taking more and more, it start sort of making more and more jobs better. And the last one is where it'll become fully autonomous, right? I think the autonomous stage is much farther to reach. I think it's still in a very assistive mode today, where we see many industries trying to create use cases to see how they can improve their day-to-day efficiency, essentially, right? So organizations are finding the right balance in terms of which AI application should they use, what is the control that they should have, right? AI as a technology is still developing. There is still not a lot of trust built into it, right? So how do they create that check and balance in place where there is always a human in the loop? Right, there is I think through multiple customers that we've spoken to, right, in various industries, never once have we heard of an application that has gone fully autonomous. Right. I think that is sort of a realization we have had as well, that even when we look at testing and try to understand how testing will advance with AI, it is at a phase where you will take a lot of the tasks which are, let's say, repetitive, a lot of the tasks which we can help, which AI can help in assisting, like let's say for example test case generation or like test script authoring. Like a lot of these are more bite-sized tasks that AI will take, but at the same time there has to be a check and balance in place. So there'll always be a human in the loop review process that will come into place, right? um, The second thing that we learned right now is initially when the AI started, a lot of organizations started adopting it for internal use cases, right? Like, how do I make my internal knowledge transfer better, or how do I make context sharing with organizational search better? That's where products like Glean came into picture a lot. The third application was, of course, coding agents, which is one of the most well proven applications where how do you improve developer and estate efficiency with coding, right? So a lot of the internal applications is where the market had started, and now that they are finding the ROI for that, or the return of investment on that, that's where they've started now moving to a lot of production applications, where let's say a lot of our consumers which are in retail are putting a lot of LLM for their search suggestions. They are putting a lot of their LLMs for optimizing the results that come into place. They've created chatbots or like sort of personal agents for you to help suggest products that you should buy or give you better discount sales, etc. So that's where now we are seeing a lot of production use cases come into play, right? Where a lot of these applications in industries, such as, of course, software tech is there, but we see a lot of healthcare industries coming into play, where a lot of hospitals are using LLM agents for understanding the results that are coming, probably giving like an L0 analysis to the doctors of based on scans or prescriptions, etc., saying that this is what the patient needs as next step, right? BFSI is a very big factor here as well. A lot of your risk analysis for loan dispersal, a lot of your disbursements in terms of credit is something that they're understanding. And then, of course, consumer retail is what I mentioned. Right. So that's where we see now the shift has moved a lot from internal applications, them proving ROI, to a lot more external applications. And that's where, or customer facing applications that they are building. And that's where I think there now has been a lot more stress on testing as well. Right, so testing. So how do you test generative applications is a topic we're going to cover in the end as well. But that's where we feel that now a lot of emphasis of testing of AI applications has also come into place, right? With that being said, I think, as I mentioned, on the internal or improving your efficiency or creating internal applications for AI, QA and quality teams have also used that a lot, right? We talk to a lot of our customers who are using AI agents or assistive use cases across the span of manual and automated testing both, right? Whether it's buckets of test management or test authoring or execution or regression, right? So we see a vast spans over there, and that's maybe something, Sai, you want to highlight. As well as to what are some of the use cases you have seen in your customer conversations.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for sharing that, Anshu. Even on the ground, when I talk to a lot of QA professionals, there is a lot of FOMO and there is a lot of fear mongering regarding AI. Is it going to replace testers?
Yeah.
No, it is not going to replace testers, but as you said, it is just going to increase their productivity. If anything, I think it's going to make the role of a QA professional much more strategic and impactful by automating all the manual and repetitive tasks.
Mm-hmm.
So the way to look at AI is that it is like a junior developer in your team.
Yeah.
The work it does still needs your review, but that is an extra teammate you get, which improves the productivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people in our customer conversations also looking at like that, right? They're just seeing that, hey, the work that I could do with like five people, now I could do with four, but the fifth person is going to add so much more value because they can identify better coverage in terms of test cases, right? Or they can review the work that is done by QA or try to figure out more integration tests, which are harder to write. So work that had a lot more value but probably always got deprioritized because of operational stuff. I think that's how people are looking at like AI currently.
Yeah, I think we can put up a poll just to understand what tasks are taking a lot of time in the current scenario. Maybe if we can put a poll up. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just wait a minute for everyone to answer, and then we'll go into each one of these use cases and which use cases are ripe for AI to automate as of now. Okay, so meanwhile, we have a question. How do you see future of automation testing 10 years from now? Will automation testing remain relevant? Yes, it will remain relevant. Again, so 5 to 10 years back, when automation testing was becoming more and more prevalent, manual testers used to have this question: will manual testing be there as a category? And will it thrive? But we all know that manual testing is still live and well, and it is thriving. So it will be the same case with automation. Automation testing will still be there as a category, but as we said, the mundane tasks will be automated by AI, and your job is going to be much more strategic, but it will remain. Okay, I think we have the answers. Generating test cases, 67%. Yeah. That is what we've seen on the field as well. And more or less, rest of them have equal votes. Generating automated test cases also came out on top. Okay. So like at BrowserStack, we've done a lot of research on, again, identifying what are the subcategories that can be automated with AI. And consistently, the top category is test case authoring. Writing good test cases is one of the most important parts of a QA. And but honestly, it's also the most time consuming and frustrating part. Thinking about all the requirements, thinking about edge cases, documenting them at a place, and ensuring that there are no duplicates, selecting the relevant test cases for a test run. So all of this are very important parts, but also involve a lot of manual steps. And also the main pain point that we have seen is that the inputs are often unclear and incomplete. They are not all at one place. Let's say some details are in a Jira ticket, some details are somewhere in a Confluence doc, some details are in PDF, some details are hidden in a Slack thread or some messaging app. So because of all of this fragmentation, the generation of test cases becomes a lot more mundane. And this is a straightforward use case of automation with AI, because AI is very good at generating contextual text based on the inputs you give it. Uh, Again, we've seen a lot of traction even with our test case generation agent. Teams are able to achieve around 90% faster test case authoring with our agent. And not only that, we've I briefly touched on the edge cases, right? We've observed that AI is much better at generating edge cases because it can think a lot more holistically around the edge cases part. So uh, as of now, it still requires a human in the loop. Human still has to validate the output before sending them to a test run. But this is one straightforward case. And the most important thing that we've done to tackle fragmentation is that our AI agent can take inputs from a range of test cases. Like even if you're it can take inputs from Jira, Confluence, PDFs, presentations, Slack integrations. So all of these requirements can be collated and the test cases can be generated. And the next big thing that we've seen with a lot of QA teams is test maintenance. So whenever they change their website, we've seen that the locators are often broken, and almost in 90% of the cases, test failures are just because of locator changes, not because the feature is broken, because the locator is broken. And when the locator breaks, the test automatically fails. And then someone has to stop what they're doing and debug it. And they inspect the element, they rewrite the selectors, update the test, and rerun it. On an average, like just fixing one broken locator takes more than 15 minutes of a QA professional's time. So now just imagine it happening across dozens and dozens of tests whenever your website or an app is updated. Again, this is a manual task. An AI agent can be built to go through all the locators, and instead of failing the test, the AI agent automatically detects the locator and will change it. It figures out the current the correct element and replaces it. So yeah, so the main output that we have seen, we have done exactly that. We have built a self-healing agent that automatically identifies and heals the tests. The main output is reduce test maintenance, because the agent analyzes test scripts and automatically adapts to the changes of the UI and functionality. And also it improves the test stability a lot, because the tests are much more reliable and consistent now with the self-healing.
Yeah.
So uh, yeah, and after running the tests, the next big category is test failure analysis or root cause analysis of a test. When a test fails, figuring out why it fails is not a quick process. Debugging a complex failure can take around 30 minutes of a tester's time. Now think about it. If you have like 1,000 tests running in your test suite, and even just assume a 2% failure rate, even if there are 20 failed tests, so all 20 might not be critical ones or might not be complex ones. Let's just assume okay, out of the 20, only 5 of them are complex. So just to debug these 5 complex tests, it will take around 3 hours of a tester's time. And what do they generally do? Again, this 3 hours is not even the interesting part of their job. They just have to go through a trial and error process. They dig through the test logs to see what has gone wrong. They will read the recent code commits. They will check them. They will go through the Jira ticket and to understand what has changed. All of this is very mundane and frustrating part of the job. So again, we've built a root cause analysis agent just for this, which will automatically go through all the requirements. It will automatically scan through what has changed from the last test, and also suggests a fix. It will identify, okay, is it because of the environment? Is it because of the test? Is it because of some change you have done? It will suggest you a possible fix as well. Not only identifies the problem. So again, like this is one area where we've seen a lot of traction, and the teams that are using it are very impressed by it, because again, it has cut down the mundane part of their job by a lot.
It's very interesting, if you look at all those use cases and if you really go to the deep of it, there are two sort of trends that come into it. One is the fact that if you need a non-deterministic analysis across multiple sources, right? So that's where the AI tech really comes and becomes powerful, right? If I look at it from an RCA standpoint or a root cause analysis standpoint, I have data that comes from my test runners. I have data that comes from my reporting tools, right? I have to sometimes superimpose that with, let's say, performance monitoring data or observability data to try to really narrow down to what that problem is, right? Which is so non-deterministic in nature that even if I ever wanted to, create a logic or a rule base for it, it would never have worked essentially, right? So that is where I feel like the power of AI really comes into place. And as organizations are thinking of more and more use cases, I think there's a simple rubric that can be created to say that, if there is a problem which requires multiple data sources, which is going non-deterministic in nature, something they can use AI to sort of improve their efficiency, right? Of course, there's a mundane aspect of it as well, or let's say the boring aspect of it, for lack of a better word, where let's say if you have, like, I know a couple of customers have 5,000 test cases, and when they are trying to create more test cases or a new ticket that comes to the QA engineer, many times they find deduping to be a very boring and a mundane task to do. Right now, I can create a logic based engine for it, but because of the fact that so many of them are written in different types of contexts, that an NLP engine here would be really helpful. So even though the task looks like, hey, it's very deterministic, it ends up being very non-deterministic in some sense, right? So that's essentially sort of a rubric that we apply when we say that whether we should use AI to automate this case or not. So the deterministic, non-deterministic is one good parameter. Assistive autonomous is one good parameter, and the other one is, of course, the efficiency in terms of time, which I think, as you mentioned, all the three use cases have that very well. A big yes in all three of them, essentially, right? Considering all of these use cases that we have, What I have seen in practice is many times, you can't use AI blindly. As I mentioned earlier, before the technology is still developing and it's still assistive in some sense, right? You can't, like, I can't just have, like, let's say the case of self healing, right? I can't, like, let it automatically update my scripts. I still want to have that human in the loop to make sure that is the locator that they are putting, is that really parameterized correctly? Is it only point in time, or is it something that can scale as well? So right, that check and balance has to be put in place to make sure that it's a system. What are some of the other sort of pitfalls and challenges that you've seen with respect to these use cases, or anything else that has come up in your customer conversations?
Yeah. So, while talking to a lot of customers, most of them are building their own AI agents or their own workflows using the commercially available models. So the main pitfall that I see is that even if you are using the latest and greatest model, the context that you give to the model is paramount. The AI output is only as good as the context and the prompt you give it. So it is very important to calibrate the model and then check the accuracy, uh, because AI can also hallucinate. You can upload a document, but if you don't have enough guardrails, it will hallucinate and just give you a test case that is non-existent in your requirement doc. So yeah, correctly building your AI agent is very important. And uh, the next thing is, we've seen that there is talent gap uh, within the QA community. Uh, the software engineers are quickly adopting AI because it is part of their workflow, like building AI-driven features and everything. But in testing, adoption is still slower. Uh, so I think going forward, as we mentioned, a QA professional who understands AI and who can incorporate them in their organization will be far more valuable to any organization. So bridging this gap is critical for the teams and for individual testers who want to like stay relevant and grow within the organization. So yeah, these two are the main pitfalls that we've seen within the testing.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more in terms of the fact that if you look at the challenges, I think it also, as you mentioned, like it's picking up. But at the same time, I think one of the few things people do is sometimes, you should really try to understand what is the ROI that you're getting. If you're using off-the-shelf models, the cost associated to that, the performance associated, that could also be significantly higher, right? So while you might be putting a lot of these use cases in place, but now, like, let's say if my healing or any of my, let's say one very common use case that I see is people trying to use test selection, right? What happens is they try to only create a subset of their regression test cases based on the PR. What ends up happening is they use a general purpose model for it, but their implementation is such that the performance of the build is impacted because they've used an off the shelf model, and the implementation is such that that adds X seconds more to the build time, right? So I think performance and cost are also two very important factors that organizations should keep in mind as they are using AI resources, because that ROI has to be coming off very well for them, right? So yeah, with that sort of being said, I think the other topic that we wanted to touch upon was how do you trust an AI system, right? Like there is so much chatter in the market around hallucination, around sort of AI, general purpose models, sort of, giving the groundness is not there. They might deviate from the context that they have been trained on. So how do you really trust an AI model, right? And that is something that we have seen time and time and again in our conversations come up, that, okay, I've implemented this agent, but now how do I know whether it's working well or not, right? And typically, the model that we have seen organizations take is it's sort of like a bell curve essentially, right? Where they start off with the fact that, okay, I will create a smaller golden data set. I will start testing it manually. And typically for internal applications, that's what they do because the data sets tend to be smaller. But the minute it hits production, right, or it hits an external use case or it's consumer facing, that's when you have no control on the input, right? You have, because it's subjective input, right? You have absolutely no control on what are the different scenarios that can happen, what are the different inputs a user will enter, if it's a chat based kind of an interface, or even in our case, like let's say if it's self healing, right? You have no like, it's the number of websites and the front end pages are so vast that it's never going to be able to really predict the entirety of the input possibilities, right? And that is where I think the biggest difference comes with evals or testing of AI applications. Is AI essentially is non-deterministic in nature. So whatever previous testing methods I did is not gonna scale. It's not gonna work as well, right? So that's why you need a method which will give you sort of some level of confidence that that the output of AI is in some level close to the functional output that you want, right? And the obviously there are a couple of solutions out there in the market that does that as well, but based on the AI implementation that you have, whether you've implemented a RAG model or if you've implemented an agentic if you've implemented a multi-agent model, etc., then there are different ways and you can classify your evals. But the first stage is typically manual testing, where you will have a golden data set. You'll do a golden data set management. Step two is when the data set starts to increase, when it goes into production, right? You have no control on the number of input or the types of input you will get. That's when a tool needed for synthetic data generation will come into play. That's when we've seen customers really trying to create vast amounts of data. Historically, that was only applicable for logistics or banking kind of industries. But now, because LLM applications are gaining such mainstream adoption, everybody has need for large data sets, right? So that is one trend that we are seeing. And I think organizations, as they're developing their AI strategy or testing of their AI applications, they have to be very mindful of what is the data that they're going to create, even for testing, right? That's step one. Then step two comes there. Step three is essentially when they figure out, okay, what do I need to test the output for, right? There are certain generic, general purpose metrics that are available in terms of groundness, relevance, toxicity, bias, etc. But I think what we have seen is a lot of the organizations also have to figure out what is the right metric for them. So, for example, if it is like I was just talking to a customer recently, and they had created a chatbot for their banking applications, right? And their biggest thing was that I want to create sort of the output that I get. I want to create a similarity score with my internal customer documentation that I have. Right now, how do you define that similarity score? What are the thresholds or guardrails you put into it? That's, I think, the is where a lot of organizations are struggling essentially. So, I think in the world of testing applications, that's where the market is today, where they are trying to figure out what is the right metric for them, or the right eval that they should try to create. Basically, right? So that's from the functional part of it. I think the other part, which is very different for testing of AI applications than what it is from traditional ones, is suddenly unit testing becomes a lot more important. And unit testing is also not deterministic, right? Like previously, if you remember, unit tests were really fast and they were very bite sized and the devs used to write it. Right now, most unit tests, because you're calling an LLM application and the output is not deterministic, the unit tests start becoming very non-deterministic and start taking a lot of time. So it's very different from your traditional, unit testing methodology, and that's something that we're seeing changing a lot as well. So as organizations are deciding what AI testing strategy to put in place, I think three, four parameters that they should be very mindful of is a whether they want to do black box testing or unit testing. If they're doing unit testing, should it be implemented at every place or not? How are they managing their golden data sets? Is there a need of synthetic data generation? I think a few of these put together is going to be very valuable as we see AI getting more mainstream adoption.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. I think this is going to be a whole new category, testing, like how to test AI applications. Since, as you said, the output is not the same every time. It keeps on
Yeah.
changing. Yeah.
Correct, correct.
So let me share my screen.
Yeah, I think with that being said, I think we've sort of reached to the end of the Q&A or the discussion part of it. And for the next part, I think we just wanted to give an overview as to we have heard a lot of these problems from our customers. We have heard a lot of our customers asking us that, hey, what else can you do for me to help my productivity better? And for that, BrowserStack has created a kaleidoscope of AI agents that we can incorporate, and which is something that we would like to walk you guys through. So, Sai, if you want to take it over.
Yeah. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So we have discussed a lot of use cases and how AI helps in improving productivity of a QA team. So let us quickly touch upon what we at BrowserStack are doing about it. We are building a comprehensive end-to-end test platform uh, that has 25 plus products. And with our test platform, you will get everything you need for testing. And there are more than 20 plus AI agents embedded right into our products, which means that you will get AI at every step of testing. Because AI is disrupting the way we approach testing, and this needs a rethink of how the testing tools we use are operated. And we have built some of our new products are built ground up with AI in mind. So let me quickly walk you through our offerings. With BrowserStack, you can test any app, whether it is a web app, mobile app, or an enterprise app. We have also entered into enterprise apps recently with Salesforce test automation. Uh, and you can do any type of testing. It can be functional testing, cross-browser testing, accessibility, visual, performance. And as Anshu mentioned, we have also entered AI evals, which is testing AI applications. So let us quickly walk you through one major trend of how AI is evolving in testing. More and more code is being generated with AI nowadays. I think there are already benchmarks that are set by companies like Microsoft, where they have publicly announced that around 30% of their code currently is already being generated by AI. And the nature of AI written code is that the throughput is very high. More and more code is being generated. More and more applications are AI native right now. And that means that the testing velocity also has to adopt, which means that we need more talent, or we have to improve the productivity of existing talent. And how we are going about it at BrowserStack is that we have divided all the phases of testing into small subcategories. So let's say test planning, creation, execution, and validation. And within planning, there are requirement specialized agent for each one of these tasks. So uh, what we found out from rigorous testing is that having one end-to-end AI agent doesn't work. The broader you make the task of AI, the more vague the output gets. And the more focused the AI agent is, the more accurate and the more context aware it will be. So that is the reason we have opted to an AI agent approach instead of one AI product. These AI agents are already embedded in your products. And with BrowserStack, you have unified data. If you are using multiple BrowserStack products, all of your data sits with us. So let's say for root cause analysis, where the AI agent has to uh, go through multiple touch points to see what has changed. If you are using multiple BrowserStack products, it becomes much more seamless for the AI agent to identify the root cause. And all of our AI agents are connected. in the sense that let's say you generate test cases using our test case generator. Our low-code authoring agent, which generates low-code tests using the test case, it is engineered in a way that it works very well with our test case generator agent. So the output of test case generator agent acts as an input of low-code authoring agent. And after generating your automated test case with low-code authoring agent, you can run your test in BrowserStack Automate, let's say. And let's say if the test fails, the root cause analysis agent then kicks in. The root cause analysis agent gets a lot of context from the work done by previous agents because it knows that, okay, test case generator agent has generated the test case. It goes back and checks all the relevant details. It goes to the low-code authoring agent's output, goes through the code generated by this agent, and also goes through the test logs. So this is where the synergies kick in. If as I said, if you are using multiple BrowserStack products, the output will be much better. So we already have 20 plus AI agents live, and we have more coming. And the initial results are impressive. We are seeing almost 50% increase in productivity from the teams that are using our AI agents. I've seen a few questions on how our AI agents are better, and why shouldn't I use ChatGPT or some other generic model? Why should I use BrowserStack AI agent? The first thing is the unified test data. As I said, your AI model is only as good as the context you give it. So with BrowserStack, all your data sits in one place, which becomes in a structured way, which becomes very easy for AI to access the relevant data. And our agents are engineered, purpose built for testing. So we have been in the industry for almost 14 plus years. And we know testing, we understand testing, and we've embedded all of our business context and the testing context into our AI agents. And there are a lot of optimization layers. Each AI agent is iterated for context, and there are a lot of layers where checks and balances are done before showcasing you the output. Because we understand that for enterprises to use AI, it has to be much more accurate. And we have some benchmarking results also with ChatGPT and other models. And our AI agents consistently gives better output. It eliminates false positives and also false negatives. And the most important thing is it is seamlessly connected in your existing workflow. It is not a new thing to learn. All of them are very intuitive, embedded in your testing workflow. You don't have to learn about operating a new AI agent. You don't have to calibrate it. All of it works out of the box, pre-integrated in your products. And one more thing I want to touch upon is the compliance part, because I've seen a question on that. We don't train our AI agents with the customer data. We use our own proprietary data sets, and BrowserStack as an organization is like known for its high levels of privacy and compliance norms. We always wipe clean every device after a test, and we follow the same level of privacy and the same protocols for AI also while building our own products. Your data sits within our own servers, and we use third-party models. Let's say even if we are using proprietary models, it is using a single shot inference, which means that your data is not being shared by any third party. And even if it's shared, it is a single shot inference. So yeah, rest assured, all of your data is safe with us, and your data is not being used to train our AI models. So yeah, we can go through some of the questions.
I think we have a poll per se.
Yeah. Before that, I think we want to understand your interest. Like, would you like to explore how BrowserStack AI like enhances your testing workflow? I think we didn't show live demos because I think it is best to just book a demo call and walk through how our AI agents work. And A hands-on approach is the best approach just to test how our AI agents work. So if you are interested, just let us know. And I think the next step would be setting up a demo call. Just wait a minute for responses.
I think we can take up a few questions.
Yes.
So I can go probably from the beginning. How to increase productivity of testing or effectively manual testing can use AI in day-to-day work. I think there are four broad applications that we've looked at. One of them is, of course, test management. I think from a manual tester's point of view, creating test cases, deduplicating test cases, understanding as to whether you have enough coverage. I think a lot of those we have seen even in our test management tool, and those are some of the more common applications that we've seen manual testers use in their day-to-day life. Secondly, I think a lot of the non-functional testing that manual testers do, whether it's with respect to visual testing or accessibility testing, even in terms of, let's say, performance testing, a lot of those can be automated with AI and it will help you significantly. Responsive testing, for example, right? A lot of this can be automated with AI, or actually help make faster with AI rather than manually going through all of it. That's the second one that I could think of, and the third one also, in my opinion, if used well, I think test selection is also a very valid and important part of in terms of saving your efficiency and productivity for a manual tester. Right. The second one is, how do you see AI, Gen AI evolving in coming years? Wherein we don't just use AI for manual test cases, generation from underlying requirements. Yeah, actually, I mean that's a very valid use case, right? Like we have seen a lot of organizations and even us, right, as a part of our test platform, we want to understand how can we understand requirements from a PRD or a Figma or let's say just your Jira tickets, right? And then create that full chain. Like in some way, a lot of our low code platform does that as well, where it tries to understand the test cases from the source itself and then go ahead and automates it, runs it, gives you a report. The problem with that is, as we mentioned, is I don't think AI is at a point where it can be completely autonomous, so you have to give it a few checks and balances in place to get it there. So I think bite size, you can stitch the full workflow together with a lot of the AI tech available, but that manual check or human in the loop is still very relevant, which is why we're trying to bake a lot of these agents inside these products so you get that control in place, right? Rather than not having that and redoing a lot of work. If, let's say, the coverage was incomplete, or if you wanted only P0 test cases, but it ended up automating till P4, right? That comes at a cost and time both. So it's that decision that a human only can take is what we feel, right? How reliable is recording based on test execution platforms like TestStem and Test Sigma? Well, honestly speaking, I think LCA platforms have been around for like lots of years before AI also came into place, right? But we feel like today, with the advent of AI, a lot of the tech which is underneath the recorder, a lot of the locators or the healing mechanisms that are put in place, these tools can give a lot better value out of it. Now, how good they are is actually depends on the underlying Gen AI tech that they have, right? But there is a lot of potential, essentially. Sai, do you want to take the next few? How do you solve the
Yep.
challenge?
So how do you solve this challenge when the knowledge base is scattered? Yeah, so when we are building our AI agents, all of these main pain points are considered. And let's say, for example, test case generation, our AI agent has a plugin where you can quickly integrate your Slack, your Jira, your Confluence. It can even take requirements from PDFs, from videos, and then presentations. and you can just integrate them once and like use the AI agent, and it will intelligently go through all the requirements, all the input files that you've given, and it will generate the test cases for you. And also in general, not only for test case generation, in general, like BrowserStack has more than 150 plus integrations, and we also have a a dashboard where you can see what all integrations you have. So let's say if you are using 10 testing tools, you have to integrate, let's say, Jira 10 times. That is not the case with BrowserStack. With one click, you can just integrate Jira with all of our products at once. And once you've integrated it with our products, automatically AI agents will also get the context. AI is already automating most of these points mentioned in the poll. I think the next step is for AI to cover the full testing cycle. Yeah, exactly. That's our vision as well, is to have AI embedded at every step of testing. We don't envisage a product where AI takes care of end-to-end testing, but as we said in the session, it will automate most of the testing to leave you with most strategic decisions to make. Should automation will affect manual testers' job, or how can we learn the automation if still working as manual tester? So no, so manual testing as a category will still stay. In fact, I think the impact of AI is less in manual testing when compared to automation testing, if you ask me. Uh, how efficiency BrowserStack compared to other AI tools? Yeah, so we do have numbers. Our North Star is around 99% accuracy. I think we are above 95% and quickly reaching the North Star. Whereas when we benchmarked it with other tools, I think ChatGPT is around 77% accurate, which means that it hallucinates. The rest of them are not relevant test cases or duplicate test cases. All of these things are taken care with because we have a lot of layers of validation before the output is generated. Maybe I'll add that slide into the deck before sharing it with you guys. Since LLM outputs are non-deterministic, how do you define correctness without increasing flakiness? Uh, yeah, so I think, uh, as I said, this is one thing that we incorporate as a part of checks and balances before the output. All the flaky outputs, all the false positives and false negatives are taken care of, which you would have to do manually when you are using when you've built an AI agent yourself or using a third party tool or using a normal generic model. Can we automate complex scenarios? Yes, we can automate complex scenarios. Actually, if you take a demo of our low code automation tool, we have scenarios where AI will intelligently, you can just use natural language, describe what you want to uh, uh, describe what you want to test, and it will find your website. It will automatically check all of that. So in a way, it is a smarter recorder. It works much better than other tools in the market. I would like encourage you to take an LCA demo to see how you can automate complex scenarios. At least I have seen a scenario where I have just inputted, okay, select. When I was testing a travel website, I've just inputted, okay, select available dates next month and make sure that the prices are in the descending order. It automatically selects whatever dates are available and then also checks if the prices are mentioned correctly in the travel website. So yeah, it works well. Can we train AI in which we give it Figma design and it tests whole website accordingly? Uh, So this end-to-end design where an AI agent can go through Figma design and test the whole website, that is not there. But I think we can still take requirements from Figma as a medium. Uh, that is there. I think even accessibility, we have a Figma plugin where Figma designs can be tested before the websites are built. Uh, sh- but yeah, the end-to-end Figma product is not there as of now. How self-heal by fetching the elements from the UI without ensuring the changes are as per requirements? Will it check the requirements and ensure the development changes are correct? Yeah. It will actually check the requirements and also ensure that uh, the changes are correct. And also it will flag you the changes that it does. It doesn't go to the code base and change it automatically. And there is a clear indication wherever the test is healed. The healed element will be highlighted, saying that we have the AI agent has changed this particular locator. So yeah, again, as I said, there are checks and balances, and there will be human in the loop as well. You can after once your test fails or once your test passes after test healing, you can go through it and see what all changes the agent has done. Since lots of data is trained in the AI model, how is the compliance aspects are taken care of? Yeah, as I mentioned, we don't use customer data to train our AI models, and even if we are using third-party AI models like ChatGPT or Gemini, it is only single shot instance. So yeah, rest assured, like you can be sure that your data is safe. Okay. How do we know that? We
think,
asked.
sorry, go ahead. I think we have just time for two more questions. So maybe Sai
Okay,
take one, I'll take the next one.
sure. How do we know that we asked AI the right question and get the right answers from it? Do we have any factors to be considered for it? Yeah. So, as I said, again, this goes into the two main aspects of engineering any AI agent, which is the prompt and the context. The prompt has to be iterated multiple times to make sure that the accuracy is better. There is no one correct prompt. As you said, you can run the same prompt and the AI will give different answers. And even in the answers, there are a lot of checks and balances. I think even Anshu touched a lot upon AI evals and how we test AI applications. And there is human as a judge, there is LLM as a judge. We use a lot of those things to make sure that the accuracy is on par with the enterprises. Uh, okay, Anshu, you can take the next question.
Yeah, what should be the roadmap for a QA lead or a QA manager to adopt AI-driven QA? My guess is AI-driven QA, meaning how do we improve the efficiency of our current products or current QA processes with AI, right? So I think, in my opinion, there is a threefold approach to it. One is again see where all the cases are where AI can assist and help improve time savings the most, which are the ones which are, let's say, non-deterministic. So test management or test case generation is typically an area most organizations start with first. That partnered up with test authoring is the other one, because that's again, like, if you have a list of 10 test cases, a lot of it is boilerplate template, right? That you can repurpose a coding agent to help clear. That's typically the second area we see. And then the third area is on an RCA standpoint, bug filing, etc. That's typically how the journey that we have seen people use. If you're a manual testing shop, essentially, then I think you have to understand some of the areas within functional or non-functional testing, which is taking a lot of time, and then try to use maybe some AI-based recorders or LCA products to help you to get to automation fast. That's what I would say. I think we have time for one last question. How can I use agentic AI in performance testing for a user workflow? Well, there are two, three ways in which you can do that. One is, of course, if you are, you can even use a lot of AI-based test recorders to help generate the HTTP calls if you're trying to create a pure JMeter script. If you're trying to, so that's one way to help you generate a lot more tests. And I think just general coding agents also help a lot with that as well. So yeah, that's one way to start off with performance testing with AI. With that, I think that's it. That was all we had for the session today. Thank you so much, guys, for your interest, joining in, listening. We have one more question coming up for the poll. Please sign up for that as well if you'd like to learn more about testing.
Please share the meeting as few of us joined late. Yes, Anjan, the recording will be shared with you after the session. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. And as I said, I highly encourage you guys to uh, take a demo, like sign up for a demo and explore our AI agents and see how well they work.